Mom, they say you don't exist. Navy SEAL mom, erased from system, must fight corrupt FBI to save her daughter. What would you do if you woke up one morning and discovered you don't exist? Your birth certificate deleted. Your social security number erased. Your entire life wiped from every government database. This is exactly what happened to Jenny Hayes, a single mother who thought she'd left her dangerous past behind. But when a corrupt FBI agent discovers her true identity as a former Navy SEAL Team 6 operator, he decides her clean American identity is worth millions on the black market. What follows is an incredible story of a mother's determination to reclaim not just her name, but her daughter's future. If you're ready for a heart-pounding thriller about courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and child, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story will leave you questioning everything you know about identity and power in America. The sparks flew in perfect arcs across Jenny Hayes' welding mask, each one a tiny star born and dying in the space of a heartbeat. The Baltimore shipyard hummed with the music of industry, steel meeting steel cranes, groaning under impossible loads, and the constant percussion of hammers reshaping America's naval future. At 32, Jenny had found her rhythm in this symphony of blue-collar precision, her hands steady, as she ran a perfect beat along the hull section of a destroyer-to-be. "Hayes, you're making us look bad again," Rico called from his station 20 feet away, his voice carrying the good-natured ribbing that came with respect earned through sweat and skill. The other welders on the morning shift had stopped questioning how a woman half their size could outlast and outwork most of them. They'd learned what Jenny had always known, that strength wasn't always measured in muscle mass. She killed the torch and flipped up her mask, revealing sharp green eyes that seemed to catch and hold light like emeralds. Her blonde hair, pulled back in a tight bun, showed streaks of premature silver, souvenirs from a life she never talked about. "Maybe you should spend less time talking and more time working, Rico. That bead looks like a drunk snake drew it." The crew laughed and Rico clutched his chest in mock pain. "She wounds me, Tom, back me up here." Tom Harrison, the shift supervisor and eldest of their crew at 68, barely looked up from his inspection checklist. "Snake's being generous, Rico. Looks more like my grandson's finger painting." The gruff former military man had taken Jenny under his wing from day one, recognizing something in her bearing that civilian life couldn't quite hide. He'd never asked about her past, and she'd never offered. It was an understanding built on mutual respect for secrets that deserved to stay buried. Jenny's phone buzzed against her hip, the special vibration pattern she'd set for Lily's school. She checked the time, 9:47 a.m. Too early for lunch, too late for morning attendance issues. Her maternal radar, finely tuned through 10 years of single motherhood, immediately went to high alert. "Tom, I need 5, she called, already pulling off her heavy gloves. "Take 10, he replied without hesitation. He'd raised 3 daughters himself. He knew that tone. The phone rang twice before a woman's nervous voice answered. "Ms. Hayes, this is Mrs. Patterson from Ridgewood Elementary. There's been an incident." Jenny's blood turned to ice water, but her voice remained steady, a skill learned in places where panic meant death. "Is Lily hurt?" No, she's fine. But there are some people here, government people. They're asking about you, about your documentation. They say there's a problem with your records." "I'll be there in 15 minutes. And do not let anyone take her anywhere. Do you understand me?" "No one." "Ms. Hayes, they have badges. 15 minutes. Jenny ended the call and turned to Tom, who was already watching her with concern. "Family emergency. I need to go." "Go. We'll cover." Tom's eyes narrowed slightly, reading something in her posture that triggered his old military instincts. "You need backup." "It's just paperwork confusion," Jenny lied smoothly, though her mind was already cataloging potential threats and exit strategies. "Probably a social security number mix-up." But as she jogged to her 10-year-old Ford pickup, Jenny's trained mind was running through possibilities, none of them good. She'd been Jenny Hayes for a decade. The identity was solid, backstopped by people who knew what they were doing. People who owed her their lives. People who had promised her a clean slate after Afghanistan. The drive to Ridgewood Elementary usually took 20 minutes. Jenny made it in 12, taking corners with the precision of someone who'd learned to drive in combat zones. The school parking lot looked normal enough. Parents' minivans, teachers' sensible sedans, the crossing guard chatting with the mail carrier. But Jenny's trained eye caught the tells immediately. Two black SUVs with government plates antennas that suggested encrypted communications and tinted windows that reflected nothing back. She parked strategically, rear facing out, keys in her left hand, right hand free. Old habits, muscle memory that a decade of welding couldn't erase. The school's front office was too crowded. Miss Patterson sat behind her desk, face pale and hands trembling slightly. Lily was in one of the plastic chairs, her backpack clutched to her chest, eyes wide with confusion and fear. And surrounding them were three people who screamed federal authority despite their attempts at casual dress. "Mommy," Lily started to rise, but one of the agents, a woman with cold brown eyes, placed a hand on her shoulder. "Take your hand off my daughter." Jenny's voice carried the kind of authority that made grown men step back. The agent complied, but slowly maintaining eye contact like a predator testing boundaries. Ms. Hayes, the lead agent, a tall black man with kind eyes that didn't match his rigid posture, stepped forward. "I'm Agent Williams with ICE. We need to discuss some irregularities with your documentation." "My documentation is in perfect order." Jenny moved to position herself between the agents and Lily, a casual shift that spoke volumes to anyone who knew what to look for. Agent Williams noticed. His hand moved imperceptibly toward his hip. "That's the problem, ma'am. According to our records, you don't exist. There's no Jenny Hayes matching your description in any federal database. No birth certificate, no social security number, no record of you ever being born on American soil." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Jenny felt Lily's small hand grip the back of her shirt. In the corner of her eye, she saw Mrs. Patterson's shocked expression. But Jenny's face remained calm, even as her mind raced through contingencies. "That's impossible. I have a driver's license, work permits, 10 years of tax returns, all fraudulent according to our systems," the female agent interrupted, producing a tablet. "As of 8 a.m. this morning, every trace of your existence has been flagged as fabricated, which makes you an illegal alien using false documents to claim American citizenship." "This is insane." Jenny pulled out her wallet, spreading her IDs on the counter. "Call my employer. Call the IRS. I've been paying taxes." "Ma'am," Agent Williams' voice carried a note of genuine regret, "I need you to come with us. We'll sort this out at the federal building. Your daughter will need to come too until we can verify." "No." The word came out with enough force to make everyone in the room tense. Jenny felt the shift in energy, the way the agent's stances changed from bureaucratic to tactical. She forced herself to soften. "I mean, let me call someone first. My boyfriend, Frank Cooper. He can pick up Lily while we sort this out." Williams hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. Jenny dialed Frank's number, willing her voice to stay steady as it rang. Frank answered on the second ring, his voice warm with the casual affection of 2 years together. "Hey, babe, aren't you supposed to be melting metal right now?" "Frank, I need you to come to Lily's school right now. Bring your press credentials." She kept her tone light but emphasized the last words in a pattern they'd established for emergencies. There was a pause. When Frank spoke again, the warmth was gone, replaced by the sharp focus she'd fallen in love with. "How bad? Code Gray. Their private shorthand for government problem, immediate response required. Lily needs you." 7 minutes. The line went dead. Frank Cooper, former Force Recon Marine combat journalist who'd survived Fallujah and Helmand, didn't waste words when action was required. Williams was watching her carefully. "Boyfriend's a reporter. Freelance journalist." Jenny confirmed, noting how the agents exchanged glances. Media attention was the last thing any federal operation wanted. "He's covered Homeland Security issues. He'll have questions." The 5 minutes stretched like hours. Lily pressed against her mother's side, smart enough at 10 to know something was very wrong. Jenny stroked her daughter's hair, the same honey blonde as her own, but without the silver streaks that marked prices paid in places children should never know about. Frank burst through the door at 6 minutes and 40 seconds, his press badge prominent phone already recording. At 38, he still moved with a warrior's economy, his body language shifting the room's dynamic immediately. The agents recognized him as a fellow predator, even if they didn't know his full history. "What's going on here?" Frank's journalist voice was different from his regular one, louder, more demanding, designed to unbalance authority figures. "Sir, this is a federal immigration matter. Williams started. Immigration. Frank's eyebrows shot up as he moved to Jenny's side, his phone capturing everything. This is Jenny Hayes, born in Colorado Springs, 1992. I've seen her birth certificate. According to our records, that birth certificate is fraudulent, the female agent said. Frank pulled out his own phone, fingers flying across the screen. I'm calling the Denver Post. They'll want to know why ICE is harassing American citizens. Mr. Cooper, Williams raised a hand. We're just trying to determine the facts. Ms. Hayes needs to come with us for questioning. It's routine. Routine? Frank's voice carried the kind of incredulity that made good sound bites. You're telling an American citizen she doesn't exist and calling it routine? Jenny touched Frank's arm, their signal to dial it back. He caught it, moderating slightly but keeping his phone visible. Where exactly are you taking her? The federal building downtown. Processing and verification. But Jenny heard what Williams didn't say. She recognized the careful phrasing, the bureaucratic dance around the truth. They weren't taking her to the regular ICE facilities. This was something else, something darker. I'll come voluntarily, Jenny said, squeezing Lily's hand. But my daughter goes with Frank, not into any system. Frank, already texting my editor. Frank confirmed, which was code for I'm documenting everything and have backup plans. Lily, you're coming with me, sweetheart. We'll get ice cream and figure this out. Mommy, Lily's voice was small, scared. Jenny knelt, taking her daughter's face in her hands. Remember what we talked about. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes with paperwork. This is just a big mistake that needs fixing. Frank will take care of you, and I'll be home for dinner. Okay. Lily nodded, though tears threatened. Jenny pulled her into a fierce hug, whispering in her ear, if I'm not back by bedtime, tell Frank to check the lockbox. He knows the one. Standing, Jenny faced the agents. Let's go. The ride in the black SUV was silent except for the encrypted chatter on their radios. Jenny sat in the back, hands uncuffed. They were maintaining the pretense this was voluntary. She memorized the route, noted the agents' patterns of speech and movement, cataloged potential weapons and exit points. Skills she thought she'd buried with her old name. But they didn't go to the federal building. Instead, the SUV pulled into an underground parking garage beneath a nondescript office building in the industrial district. No signs, no markings, just gray concrete and fluorescent lights. Jenny's internal alarm screamed, but she kept her expression neutral. This isn't the federal building, she observed mildly. Temporary facility, Williams replied, but she caught the discomfort in his voice. He didn't like this either. More private for sensitive cases. They led her through steel doors that locked electronically behind them, down corridors that smelled of industrial disinfectant and fear sweat. Other people sat in holding cells, men and women with the hollow eyes of those who'd been erased from existence. Some looked like they'd been here days, others weeks. The processing room was sterile white with cameras in every corner. A different man waited there, white mid-40s with the kind of forgettable face that suggested intelligence work. His suit was federal budget gray, but his watch was a Rolex. Private sector money mixing with government authority. Ms. Hayes, or should I say Chief Petty Officer Sarah Chen? The name hit Jenny like a sledgehammer, though she didn't let it show. Sarah Chen had died in Afghanistan in 2014. She'd made sure of it. The paperwork, the witnesses, the body they'd never found because it had been vaporized in a drone strike, she'd called on her own position to eliminate a high-value target. I don't know what you're talking about. My name is Jenny Hayes. The man smiled without warmth. My name is Special Agent Marcus Steele, and we both know that's not true. You were reported KIA in Operation Copper Mountain, except you survived, didn't you? Crawled out of that hellhole and somehow convinced someone to give you a new identity. Who was it? CIA Witness Protection. I want a lawyer. Lawyers are for people who exist, Steele replied, pulling out a tablet. According to every database in the United States government, you're a ghost, a non-person using fraudulent documents. That means no rights, no phone calls, no lawyers, just you and me and the truth. Jenny remained silent, mind racing. Someone had burned her identity, but who? And why now, after 10 years of quiet life? The answer came with Steele's next words. You killed Mahmoud al-Rashidi, the Scorpion, One shot, one kill from 847 meters in winds gusting to 40 knots. Legendary shot. The kind they teach at sniper school. Jenny kept her expression blank, but inside memories flooded back. The weight of the rifle, the sound of her spotter's breathing, the moment of perfect stillness before the trigger break. The thing is Omek. Steele continued. Al-Rashidi had a brother, younger, smarter, with better connections and a lot more money. He's been looking for his brother's killer for 10 years. Imagine his surprise when he learned she was alive living in Baltimore welding ships for the Navy she used to serve. You're selling me. The words came out flat, matter of fact. Jenny had seen enough of the world's darkness to recognize it immediately. Selling is such an ugly word. I prefer facilitating justice. The brother wants closure. You want to exist. Your daughter wants a mother. We can make all of that happen or none of it. Jenny studied Steele, reading him like she used to read wind patterns before a shot. He was confident, which meant he'd done this before. The other prisoners in this place, they were all ghosts like her. People who wouldn't be missed because officially they didn't exist. How much, she asked, buying time. 2 million, push, untraceable. For that, he gets you and the peace of mind that comes with revenge. Your daughter gets placed in foster care, good family college fund, the works. Better than growing up visiting federal prison, which is your other option. You're FBI, not ICE. I'm a patriot who understands that sometimes the system needs funding outside official channels. Steele's smile was sharp as glass. Black ops don't fund themselves as Hayes, or would you prefer Chen, or maybe your birth name, Rebecca Thompson? 3 names, 3 lives, all of them technically dead. Jenny felt the walls closing in, but her expression never changed. In her mind, she was already wargaming scenarios, calculating odds, measuring distances. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. Then the brother arrives for the transaction. Steele stood, straightening his tie. Consider your daughter, Ms. Hayes. Consider what her life looks like without you. Because one way or another, you're disappearing. The only question is whether she remembers you as a mother who abandoned her or as one who died. They put her in a cell, clean but Spartan, with a narrow cot and a steel toilet. No windows, just fluorescent lights that hummed at a frequency designed to prevent sleep. 3 other women shared the block, all with the same haunted look of people who'd been erased. First-timer. The woman in the adjacent cell was perhaps 40, Hispanic with calloused hands that suggested manual labor. Something like that, Jenny replied, already cataloging potential assets. The cell doors were electronic, but the locks had manual overrides for fire safety. She could see the mechanism if she angled right. The cameras had blind spots where the cells met the walls. The fluorescent lights could be shattered to create weapons. Maria Gonzalez, the woman offered. Been here 6 days. They say I never existed, but my kids would disagree. Jenny, how many others? Maybe 20 total. They rotate us out. Some disappear at night. New ones arrive. All of us are nobodies. Foster system kids, immigrants who got citizenship, but no family people who won't be missed. Jenny felt the pattern clicking into place. Steele wasn't just selling her. He was running an entire operation. Selling clean identities to criminals who needed them. Using people who couldn't fight back because they technically didn't exist. Meanwhile, across the city, Frank Cooper was in full combat mode. After securing Lily with his trusted neighbor, a retired Baltimore cop who asked no questions, he'd activated networks dormant since his journalism days in Afghanistan. His laptop screen filled with encrypted messages as he reached out to sources in intelligence, military, and law enforcement communities. Sarah Chen, he muttered, staring at a classified file a contact had risked everything to send. Navy SEAL Team 6, Sniper, MIA, presumed KIA 2014. The photo was grainy, taken from a distance, but he could see Jenny in the eyes. The same focused intensity that had first attracted him, the same careful way of moving that suggested constant threat assessment. His phone buzzed. Tom Harrison from the shipyard. Cooper, what the hell happened to Hayes? Feds grabbed her. I see, they said, but something's off. I'm coming over. Tom, you don't need to. Son, I did 20 years in Delta Force. I know an operator when I see one, and Hayes moves like someone who's seen real shit. If she's in trouble, I'm helping. End of discussion. Frank felt a surge of hope. Tom Harrison might be pushing 70, But Delta Force operators never really retired. They just shifted to lower gear. My apartment, 30 minutes. Frank turned back to his computer, pulling up property records for federal black sites in Baltimore. If Jenny wasn't at the official federal building, there were only so many places they could hold her. He just had to find which one. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Cooper, this is Agent Williams. From this morning, Frank hit record. Agent Williams. Where's Jenny? I can't. This line might not be secure. Can you meet me alone? Why would I do that? Because your girlfriend isn't the only one who's been erased. There are others, and tomorrow night, some of them are being shipped overseas in containers, sold to the highest bidder. Frank's blood went cold. Human trafficking, but worse, selling identities and bodies together. Where Fells Point, the old cannery at midnight, come alone or don't come at all. The line went dead. Frank stared at the phone, weighing the odds of a trap against the chance Williams was exactly what he seemed, a federal agent with a conscience. Tom arrived 20 minutes later carrying a duffel bag that clinked with metal. Brought some tools, he said simply. Frank showed him everything. Jenny's real identity. Williams called the pattern emerging of disappeared people. Tom studied it all with the focused intensity of a career soldier planning a mission. This Steele character, Tom said finally, he's running a trafficking ring using government resources. Smart. Evil, but smart. Nobody looks for people who don't exist. Williams might be our way in, or Steele's way of tying up loose ends. Tom pulled a Glock from his bag, checking the action with practiced ease. We go, but we go prepared. Back in her cell, Jenny had made her decision. She couldn't wait for rescue that might never come. Too many variables, too many innocents at risk. The woman in the cell across from her had 3 kids. The man 2 cells down kept muttering about his mother's medication he needed to refill. These people had lives, families, reasons to exist beyond government databases. She'd already identified the shift patterns. Guards changed every 6 hours with a 15-minute overlap for briefing. Meals came at 7 noon, and 6 delivered by a trustee who was himself a prisoner. The cameras recorded but weren't actively monitored. She'd tested this with small movements, noting the lack of response. At 11:47 p.m., she made her move. The fluorescent bulb in her cell had been loosening all day, her fingers working it millimeter by millimeter whenever she stood on her cot to stretch. Now it came free with a sharp twist. She wrapped it in her shirt, muffling the sound as she shattered it against the steel toilet. The longest shard was 6 inches of razor-sharp glass. "What are you doing?" Maria whispered from the next cell. "Getting us out, all of us." Jenny used the shard to slice her palm. Not deep, but enough for significant blood. She pressed it against the lock mechanism, letting it seep into the electronics. Then she urinated on it, crude but effective. The combination of blood, urine, and time would corrode the connections. But she needed a distraction for what came next. "Maria, in about 10 minutes, you're going to have a seizure. Can you fake that?" "My cousin has epilepsy. I've seen enough." "Good. When the guards come sell it, they'll open your cell for medical. When they do, I move, Ishpo." Jenny positioned herself in the blind spot glass shard concealed against her wrist. The corroded lock was already sparking its LED indicator, flickering between red and green. 9 minutes later, Maria began convulsing, her performance Oscar-worthy. 2 guards rushed in, one radioing for medical, the other opening Maria's cell with his override key. Jenny's corroded lock failed at that moment, not opening but going fully dead. In the confusion, neither guard noticed. She moved like water, fluid, silent, inevitable. The first guard went down to a blood choke, unconscious in 6 seconds. The second turned hand going for his gun, but Jenny was already inside his reach. The glass shard pressed against his carotid artery. Keys, radio, weapons, now. He complied, eyes wide with shock. A woman who'd been a welder that morning was holding him hostage with improvised weapons and special operations tactics. "How many prisoners total?" Jenny demanded. 23. "How many guards?" 6 on night shift. "Good. You're going to release everyone. Then you're going to open the exit doors. Then you're going to forget you ever saw any of us." "Lady, you don't understand. Steele is going to have bigger problems." Jenny zip-tied him to the cell bars. "Maria, get everyone ready. We're leaving." The escape was chaos and beautiful precision combined. 23 ghosts moving through the facility like smoke, Jenny leading them with hand signals she hadn't used in a decade. They encountered two more guards, both neutralized without permanent injury. Jenny wasn't a killer anymore. She was a mother who needed to get home. They burst out into the Baltimore night, scattering in all directions. Jenny kept Maria and three others with her, leading them through industrial streets she'd memorized on the way in. There's a homeless shelter 6 blocks north, she told them. They don't ask questions. Get there, get help, get your lives back. What about you? Maria asked. I have unfinished business. Jenny borrowed Maria's phone, dialing Frank's number from memory. He answered on the first ring. Jenny, Jesus Christ, where are you? Industrial district, sending location. She could hear voices in the background. Who's with you? Tom from work, Agent Williams. It's complicated. Williams is there. Jenny's danger sense spiked. He's clean, or clean enough. Jenny Steele is moving you tomorrow night, selling you to Al-Rashidi's brother. I know. Frank, get Lily somewhere safe. Out of state if possible. Already done. She's with my sister in Philadelphia. Jenny, we're coming to get you. No, I'm coming to you. This ends tonight. She hung up and started running, feet finding their rhythm in a cadence drilled into her so deep that a decade couldn't erase it. Sarah Chen was dead. Jenny Hayes had been erased. But the woman running through Baltimore's dark streets was something new. A mother with the skills of a SEAL and nothing left to lose. The abandoned cannery at Fells Point squatted against the harbor like a broken tooth, its shattered windows reflecting the distant lights of Baltimore's skyline. Frank waited in the shadows, Tom Harrison beside him, with the steady presence of a man who'd waited in too many dangerous woes to be rattled by one more. Agent Williams stood apart, nervous energy radiating from his federal-issue windbreaker. She said she's coming here. Williams kept checking his phone as if expecting Steele to materialize from the screen. She'll be here, Frank confirmed, though his own anxiety was a living thing crawling up his spine. Jenny had sounded different on the phone, not scared but focused in a way that suggested she'd made a decision about who she needed to be. Tom hadn't spoken in 10 minutes, his eyes constantly scanning the perimeter. The old Delta Force operator had positioned them with clear sight lines to all approaches and 2 separate escape routes. His hand rested casually on the Glock in his waistband, hidden beneath a Raven's jacket that had seen better decades. A shadow moved wrong against the loading dock, and Tom's hand tightened on his weapon. But Frank recognized the way the shadow flowed. Economical, purposeful, dangerous. It's her. Jenny materialized from the darkness like she'd been born from it. Her welding clothes were torn and stained with blood. Not all of it hers, Frank noted with professional assessment. Her eyes had changed. The careful suburban mother was gone, replaced by something that made Williams take an involuntary step backward. Chief Chen, Williams breathed, and Jenny's head snapped toward him with predator focus. That name died in Afghanistan, she said flatly. You're the one who contacted Frank. Ma'am, I recognized you this morning. Your movement patterns the way you positioned yourself. I served in Iraq military police. I knew you were military, but when I ran your prints through the system, Williams swallowed hard. They came back classified beyond my clearance level. Then 2 hours later, Steele showed up and took over. You knew Steele was dirty. Tom's voice carried the particular disgust reserved for those who betrayed the uniform. Suspected. He runs a special task force off the books. Started as legitimate witness protection, but something changed 2 years ago. People started disappearing. Good people with nobody to miss them. Williams pulled out a flash drive. Everything I could copy without triggering alerts. Financial records, prisoner transfers, shipping manifests. Jenny took the drive, pocketing it without looking. How many people has he sold? At least 40 that I can confirm, maybe more. He targets people with military or specialized backgrounds. Their identities are worth more on the black market. Former operators' intelligence assets, anyone with security clearances that could be reactivated. Jesus, Frank muttered. He's selling America's tactical advantages along with the people. The brother al-Rashidi, Jenny said. When does he arrive? Tomorrow night. Private jet into BWI diplomatic papers from Saudi Arabia. He's bringing $10 million in untraceable bonds. Williams hesitated. Ma'am, he doesn't just want you dead. The intelligence suggests he wants to break you first. Make an example. Jenny's expression didn't change. He can want whatever he likes. Tom, you still connected with anyone at Bragg? The old soldier's eyes glinted. Might know a few people who haven't forgotten what honor means. We need a team. 4 operators minimum. People who can move tonight without orders. Jenny, Frank interjected. We should go to the FBI, the real FBI. With what evidence? A flash drive from an agent who'll be dead or disappeared the moment Steele realizes he's turned my testimony from a woman who doesn't exist. Jenny shook her head. This is beyond law enforcement now. Steele has 23 people in holding ready to be sold. We don't have time for bureaucracy. Tom was already on his phone speaking in the clipped shorthand of special operations. Eagle 6, this is Bull. I need a favor. Yes, that kind of favor. 4 operators Baltimore tonight. I'm calling in every marker. He listened, then smiled grimly. Roger that. Semper Fi. How long? Jenny asked. 4 hours. They're at Quantico for training. Unofficial leave starts in 30 minutes. Williams looked between them, realization dawning. You're planning an assault on a federal facility. On a human trafficking ring that happens to be using federal resources, Jenny corrected. You can leave now if you want. No one would blame you. Williams straightened, something hardening in his expression. My daughter's 10, same as yours, Ms. Hayes. If someone erased me, sold me, left her alone. No, I'm in. Frank pulled Jenny aside, his hands gentle on her arms despite the blood staining them. You don't have to do this. We could disappear for real this time. And leave those people to be sold. Leave Steele free to do it again. Jenny touched his face, a moment of softness in the gathering storm. I ran once after Afghanistan. Changed my name, buried my past, tried to be normal. But normal people don't get to save anyone, Frank. And those people in that facility, they need someone who isn't normal. Lily needs her mother. She needs a mother she can be proud of, one who stood up when it mattered. Jenny kissed him fierce and quick. Besides, you're going to keep me alive. That's what Force Recon Marines do, right? Keep Navy assets breathing, despite everything. Frank smiled. Inter-service rivalry at a time like this. Especially at a time like this. Tom rejoined them, tucking his phone away. Teams en route, Gator, Priest, Hammer, and Twitch, all recently separated from JSOC, all looking for purpose. They'll bring gear. Gator, Jenny's eyebrows rose. Billy Gator from Team 3. You know him. We worked together in Helmand. Good operator, better human being. Some of the tension eased from Jenny's shoulders. What about Steele's schedule? Williams pulled up his phone. He'll be at the facility by 0600 to prep the prisoners for transport. Skeleton crew until then. Maybe 8 guards total. Transport how? Shipping containers at the port. They've done it before. International waters in 12 hours, then transferred to whoever bought them. Jenny studied the harbor mind, already building the operation. We hit at 0500. Dark shift change, confusion, guards tired. 2 teams, one for the prisoners, one for Steele. Rules of engagement, Tom asked carefully. Non-lethal if possible. These guards might just be doing a job, not knowing what Steele really does. But Steele himself, Jenny's eyes went cold. He's a clear and present danger to American citizens. We stop him, permanently if necessary. That's murder, Williams said quietly. That's justice, Tom corrected. Sometimes they're the same thing. 4 hours later, the team assembled in a warehouse Tom had borrowed from a contact who owed him favors dating back to Desert Storm. Jenny stood before a whiteboard drawing facility layouts from memory while 5 of America's most dangerous men reviewed their equipment. Billy Gator McGraw was 6'4" of Louisiana charm wrapped around lethal capability. Miguel Priest Santos carried rosary beads and enough explosives to level a city block. David Hammer Kowalski looked like an accountant until you saw him move. And Marcus Twitch Thompson got his nickname from reflexes that seemed to violate physics. Gentlemen, Tom said formally, meet Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen. Jenny Hayes, she corrected, but Gator was already grinning. Holy hell, Chen, we thought you were dead. That shot in Kandahar is classified and stays that way. Jenny's tone brooked no argument. I'm a welder from Baltimore who needs to rescue some people. That's all you need to know? Yes, ma'am, Gator replied, but his grin remained. Good to see you, vertical, whoever you are. Jenny turned to the whiteboard. 23 prisoners, 8 guards, 1 primary target. Steele will have a close protection detail, probably contractors. The facility has electronic locks with manual overrides cameras on 30-second loops and no external alarms. They don't want local PD stumbling onto their operation. Entry bomb, Priest asked, already calculating explosive requirements. Subtle until it can't be. We need the prisoners mobile and calm. Panic kills operations like this. Jenny drew entry points. 2 teams. Alpha takes the north entrance, secures the guard post, initiates prisoner release. Bravo enters from the loading dock, locates, and neutralizes Steele. I'll take Bravo, Tom volunteered, but Jenny shook her head. You're Alpha team lead. You've got the experience to keep civilians calm under fire. I'm Bravo. Jenny, Frank started. I'm the only one here who's actually seen the inside. I know the layout, the guard patterns, and she paused, meeting each man's eyes in turn. Steele is expecting me to be a prisoner. He won't expect me to be hunting him. I'm going with you, Frank said firmly. You're Overwatch. You and Williams coordinate with Baltimore PD once we're clear. We'll need ambulances, trauma teams, and someone to spin the media narrative. And the media narrative, Williams asked. Rogue FBI agent running human trafficking ring gets taken down by concerned citizens. Hero cops respond to anonymous tip. Everyone goes home happy, except Steele. Hammer raised a hand. Ma'am, what about the brother Al-Rashidi? One problem at a time. He lands tomorrow at 8 p.m. By then, Steele's operation will be ashes, and he'll have no one to buy from. Unless he decides to take his revenge anyway, Gator pointed out. Jenny's smile was sharp as winter. Then he'll learn what his brother learned. Some fights you don't walk away from. They moved at a 4:33, unmarked vehicles converging on the industrial district as Baltimore slept. Jenny rode with Bravo team, herself Gator and Priest. The familiar weight of tactical gear felt like coming home after a long exile. The Sig Sauer on her hip, the knife on her chest, rigged the controlled breathing that preceded violence, all of it as natural as welding had become. Chentrast, Gator said quietly as they approached the target. That shot in Kandahar, 147 meters in a sandstorm. That was you. That was someone who doesn't exist anymore. Roger that, but just so you know, that shot saved my squad. We were pinned about to be overrun. Then the Scorpion's head just wasn't there anymore. We lived because of that shot. Jenny said nothing, but something loosened in her chest. For 10 years, she'd carried that kill like a sin. Maybe it had been something else. They inserted at 0500, exactly Tom's voice crackling through their earpieces. Alpha in position. Guards are tired, minimal alertness. Breaching in 30 seconds. Copy. Bravo moving to secondary. Jenny led her team through shadows that seemed to part for them, 3 ghosts in tactical black. The loading dock was unguarded, Steele's arrogance assuming no one would dare attack a federal facility. The door's lock yielded to Priest's picks in 12 seconds. They flowed inside, weapons up, but fingers off triggers. The corridor beyond was industrial bland, but Jenny recognized the route from her earlier escape. She hand-signaled directions, muscle memory taking over. Tom's voice. Alpha has the guard post. 2 tangos down, non-lethal, moving to cells. They heard the commotion ahead. Shouts running feet, the electronic shriek of alarms. But also something else cheering. The prisoners realizing they were being freed, not disappeared. Contact front, Gator whispered, and Jenny saw them. 2 contractors in tactical gear escorting Steele toward a reinforced door marked Authorized Personnel Only. She didn't hesitate. The flashbang grenade rolled across the floor like a child's toy, then erupted in divine thunder. Jenny was moving before the light died, taking the first contractor with a strike to the carotid that dropped him bonelessly. Gator handled the second with similar efficiency. Steele, ears ringing and eyes streaming, still managed to draw his weapon. But Jenny was already there, the pistol clattering away as she struck his wrist. He swung wildly, training evident despite his disorientation. She let him overextend, then put him down with a knee strike that would have made her old instructors proud. Bravo has the target, she reported, zip-tying Steele's hands as he groaned on the floor. Package secure. Alpha has all prisoners accounted for, Tom replied, moving to extract. But Steele was laughing through his pain blood running from his nose. You think this ends with me? You have no idea how deep this goes, how many people want what I'm selling. Jenny knelt beside him, voice conversational. Maybe, but you're done. Those people you were going to sell, they were free. Your operation finished. And you're going to prison for a very long time. Prison, Steele's laugh turned ugly. I know too much. CIA, NSA operations you can't imagine. They'll never let me testify. I'll be dead within a week and this will all be blamed on some patsy. Probably, Jenny agreed, but that's a week more than you gave your victims. William's voice crackled through the radio. Baltimore PD en route 3 minutes. Federal backup behind them. Time to go, Gator said, but Jenny hesitated, staring down at Steele. The brother, she said. Al-Rashidi, called him. Tell him the deal's off. He'll come anyway, for you. He knows who you are now. Good, let him come. She stood stepping over Steele's prone form. Bravo extracting. They left him there tied and broken for the legitimate authorities to find. The prisoners were already being loaded into vehicles Tom had arranged. Not official transport, but a network of veterans who asked no questions when duty called. Jenny found Maria Gonzalez in the crowd wrapped in a blanket, but standing tall. Thank you, Maria said simply. Thank yourself. You played that seizure perfectly. My kids. Williams will help. He's one of the good ones. As sirens filled the air and Baltimore PD swarmed the facility, Jenny stood with Frank on a rooftop 2 blocks away, watching the aftermath unfold. The tactical gear was already packed away, Jenny back in civilian clothes that didn't quite hide the warrior beneath. It's not over, Frank said quietly. The brother Steele's network, whoever he was selling to. No, it's not. Jenny leaned into his warmth, allowing herself one moment of peace. But 23 people are going home to their families tonight. That's worth something. And tomorrow Lily comes home. We have dinner like a normal family. And if Al-Rashidi's brother wants to find me, well. She smiled and Frank saw both the woman he loved and the operator she'd been. I'm not hard to find anymore. Jenny Hayes Welder, Baltimore Shipyard. Come and get me. Tom joined them, the old soldier moving with renewed purpose despite the night's exertions. The boys are asking if you need anything else. Gator especially. Says he owes you a debt from Kandahar. Tell them the debt's paid. They came when it mattered. They'll stay in the area for a few days, just in case. Tom studied her carefully. You know this isn't over. I know, but I'm done running, done hiding. Jenny looked out over Baltimore, her adopted city where her daughter waited and her life existed, even if the databases said otherwise. Sarah Chen died doing her duty. Jenny Hayes lives protecting her family. If Al-Rashidi can't understand the difference, that's his problem. Williams approached his federal windbreaker replaced with a Baltimore PD jacket, cover for his presence. Steele's in custody. He's already trying to make a deal naming names. This is going to be big Jenny, bigger than just Baltimore. That's your fight now, Jenny replied. I'm just a welder. Williams smiled sadly. No, you're not. You're a hero, even if no one can ever know it. As dawn broke over Baltimore Harbor, painting the industrial district in shades of gold and shadow, Jenny Hayes stood between her 2 lives, the operator she'd been and the mother she'd chosen to become. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Al-Rashidi's brother would come drawn by vengeance and hate. Steele's network would seek retribution. The government would ask questions about how a federal black site had been raided by ghosts. But today, 23 people were free. A corrupt agent was in custody, and a mother could go home to her daughter. The radio in Frank's pocket crackled, Lily's voice small but strong. Uncle Frank, is Mommy okay? Frank handed Jenny the radio. She keyed it, voice steady despite the tears threatening. I'm okay, baby. I'm coming home. Mom, they said you didn't exist, but that's stupid. You're the most real person I know. Jenny laughed, surprising herself with the sound. You're right, sweetheart. I exist. I'm real, and I'll be there soon. She handed the radio back to Frank, then looked at the assembled warriors. Tom, the JSOC operators, Williams and her, Frank. Her tribe gathered by circumstance, but bonded by purpose. Breakfast, Gator suggested. I know a place that doesn't ask questions about blood on your knuckles. Breakfast, Jenny agreed. But first someone needs to teach me how to exist in government databases again. I have a job to get back to. Already on it, William said, pulling out his phone. Amazing that what you can do with Steele's access codes and a little righteous anger. Jenny Hayes, born Colorado Springs, 1992, is being restored as we speak. Clerical error, very embarrassing, full apology from the government. That easy. That easy when you have an FBI agent who actually wants to protect and serve. Williams met her eyes. Ma'am, what you did tonight. My daughter's safe because people like you exist, thank you. Jenny nodded, uncomfortable with gratitude she felt she didn't deserve. But Tom understood, placing a weathered hand on her shoulder. You saved lives tonight, sailor. Own it. As they walked toward breakfast and whatever came next, Jenny felt something she hadn't experienced in 10 years. The possibility of peace. Not the absence of conflict, but the knowledge that she could face whatever came with truth instead of lies, strength instead of hiding. Sarah Chen was dead. Jenny Hayes existed. And tomorrow when Mahmoud al-Rashidi's brother came calling, he would learn what happened to those who threatened a Navy SEAL's daughter. He would learn what his brother had learned in those final seconds through a scope, that some people were too dangerous to hunt. But that was tomorrow's war. Today was for breakfast with warriors, a phone call to a brave little girl, and the first breath of a life lived in the light instead of shadows. The text came at 3 a.m., 3 days after the raid. Jenny read it in the darkness of her bedroom, Frank sleeping peacefully beside her, unaware that war had just been declared in digital silence. The Scorpion had a family. Now you will know what it means to lose yours. No signature needed. Khalid al-Rashidi had arrived. Jenny slipped from bed with practiced silence, muscle memory, guiding her to the concealed safe where she'd stored items a welder shouldn't own. The Sig Sauer felt cold and certain in her hand. She checked the load chambered around, then sat in the darkness thinking. 3 days of manufactured normalcy. Lily, back from Philadelphia, chattering about her cousin's new dog. Frank writing his story about the raid, carefully omitting details that would compromise anyone involved. Jenny returning to the shipyard where Tom and the crew welcomed her back with no questions about her missed days. Even a visit from Williams, now heading a joint task force investigating Steele's network, confirming her identity was fully restored in all systems. She'd almost believed they could return to normal. Jenny picked up her phone, typing quickly in their established emergency code. Within minutes, responses came back. Tom, on my way. Gator, team spinning up. Williams FBI resources at your disposal. Frank stirred beside her. Jenny, she showed him the text. His expression hardened from sleep soft to combat ready in an instant. How did he get your number? Steele. He had to have given it before we took him. Jenny was already moving, pulling on jeans and a black tactical shirt. Frank, get Lily. We're moving to the safe house. She's got school. She's got a target on her back. Move. 20 minutes later, they were in Tom's truck. Lily confused but trusting as they drove through pre-dawn Baltimore toward a cabin in the Catoctin Mountains that Tom had maintained since his Delta days. Gator's team followed in 2 vehicles, a protective convoy that would have made any rational predator reconsider. But Khalid al-Rashidi wasn't rational. He was rich, connected, and consumed by a decade of planning revenge. Williams met them at the cabin, his federal sedan looking out of place among the tactical vehicles. We've got a problem, he said without preamble. Al-Rashidi didn't just come for you. He brought an army. He showed them satellite footage on his tablet. A warehouse near the Port Heat, signatures indicating at least 20 men. Military-grade vehicles, what looked like heavy weapons. Private military contractors, Gator identified immediately. Probably Executive Outcomes or Wagner Group. Mercenaries with no rules except the paycheck. He's not trying to be subtle, Tom observed. He wants you to know he's coming. It's not about me anymore, Jenny said quietly, watching Lily through the window as Frank helped her with homework, maintaining the illusion of normalcy. It's about terror, making an example. He wants the world to know what happens to those who kill his family. Priest crossed himself. So we hit first, strike the warehouse, eliminate the threat. 20+ mercenaries in an urban environment. Hammer shook his head. Civilian casualties would be massive. Media nightmare. Plus it's technically an act of war, Williams added. Foreign nationals on American soil. State Department would lose their minds. So we wait. Twitch's fingers drummed against his rifle, the nervous energy that gave him his nickname manifesting. Let them come to us. No. Jenny stood decision, crystallizing. We give him what he wants, Misai. The room erupted in protest, but Jenny raised her hand for silence. Listen, he wants a public execution, a spectacle. Fine. We give him one, but we control the where and when. Tom understood first, his weathered face creasing in a dangerous smile. A trap. The shipyard, Jenny continued, tomorrow night, isolated enough to prevent civilian casualties, industrial enough to provide tactical advantages, and symbolic, where Jenny Hayes exists every day. You're using yourself as bait, Frank said flatly. I'm using his obsession against him. He's had 10 years to build this up in his mind. The legendary shot that killed his brother. He won't be able to resist the chance for poetic justice. Williams pulled up blueprints on his tablet. The shipyard's a maze. Cranes, containers, half-built ships. A lot of places to hide shooters. Exactly. Gator, your team takes overwatch positions. Tom coordinates ground elements. Frank, I'm with you. Frank, non-negotiable. You want to play bait, fine, but you don't do it alone. Jenny saw the determination in his eyes, the Marine who'd survived Fallujah and Helmand surfacing fully. She nodded. Williams, can you keep local PD clear? I can sell it as a federal anti-terrorism drill. Give you maybe a 2-hour window before someone notices the shooting isn't blanks. 2 hours is generous, Jenny said. If this takes more than 20 minutes, we've already lost. They spent the day preparing. Weapons cleaned and sighted. Positions scouted. Lily safely tucked away with Williams's own family, surrounded by off-duty FBI agents who thought they were protecting a witness. Jenny stood with her at sunset, memorizing her daughter's face. Mom, you're scaring me, Lily said quietly. Remember what I taught you about being brave? That it's not about not being scared. It's about doing what's right despite the fear. That's my girl. Jenny hugged her fiercely. I have to go do something right, but I'll be back for breakfast. Promise Jenny had never lied to her daughter. She wouldn't start now. I promised to do everything in my power to come back. Lily nodded, wise beyond her years. Kick their butts, Mom. Despite everything, Jenny laughed. Language, young lady. You say worse when you're working on the truck. Fair point. The shipyard at night was a forest of steel and shadows. Jenny walked through the main gate at exactly midnight, no attempt at concealment. She wore her welding jacket over tactical gear, a deliberate insult. The blue-collar American worker over the warrior. Frank flanked her at 20 meters visible, but not obviously protective. His press badge caught the security lights, another calculated insult. The free press that would document whatever happened here. Jenny's phone buzzed, unknown number. You came? Khalid's voice was cultured, British educated, nothing like his brother's harsh desert tones. You threatened my daughter. Where else would I be? Your daughter, yes. Did you think about my brother's children when you killed him? 3 sons who grow up without a father. Your brother was a terrorist who killed innocent people. He made his choice. And you made yours. Now we both live with the consequences. Movement in the shadows. Jenny counted muzzle flashes of infrared lasers. 12, maybe 15 shooters taking positions. But also the subtle counter-movement of Gator's team ghosts in the steel forest. I know who you are now, Khalid continued. Sarah Chen, the ghost sniper, the woman who doesn't miss. That woman died in Afghanistan. No, she just changed her name. But a wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf. He stepped into view 50 meters away, surrounded by contractors in full tactical gear. Khalid himself wore an expensive suit, as if attending a board meeting rather than an execution. He was younger than his brother had been, early 40s, with the soft look of wealth rather than warfare. I'm going to kill you, he said conversationally. Then your boyfriend. Then everyone who helped you. And then when you're all dead, I'm going to raise your daughter as my own. Teach her about her mother, the murderer. Make her understand. The shot came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Khalid's left shoulder exploded in red, spinning him to the ground. His contractors reacted instantly, weapons up, searching for threats. But the shot hadn't come from Gator's team or any position Jenny had planned. Contact unknown bearing 270, Gator's voice crackled through her earpiece. I don't have a visual on the shooter. Another shot. One of Khalid's contractors dropped, knee shattered. Then another shoulder wound. Precise, disabling, professional. Someone's hunting them, Tom reported. Pattern suggests, Jenny, that's your shooting pattern. But Jenny was 20 meters from the nearest weapon, hands visible and empty. Frank had moved to cover her, but he was as confused as everyone else. There, Priest called out. Crane 4 halfway up. Jenny looked and felt her world tilt. The shooter was a woman moving through the crane's structure with familiar efficiency. Blonde hair caught the moonlight. The rifle Jenny recognized it even at distance was a match for the one she'd used in Afghanistan. Impossible, she breathed. The woman fired again, another contractor down. Khalid's men were panicking now, firing wildly at the crane while trying to drag their employer to safety. But they were in the kill box, and the shooter was systematically destroying their capability. All teams do not engage the unknown shooter, Jenny commanded, starting to run toward the crane. I say again, do not engage. She climbed the crane's ladder with desperate efficiency, Frank following, despite her shouts to stay back. 60 feet up, she found the shooter's position. The rifle was there, still warm, recently fired. But no shooter. What the hell? Frank gasped, catching up. Movement below. Jenny looked down to see someone in welding gear walking calmly through the chaos, heading straight for where Khalid's remaining men had taken cover. The figure moved exactly like Jenny moved, carried themselves exactly like... No, Jenny whispered, understanding hitting like a physical blow. She half climbed, half fell, down the crane, hitting the ground, running. But she was too far away. The figure in welding gear had reached Khalid's position. The contractors, confused and demoralized, hesitated just long enough. The welder drew a pistol, Jenny's pistol, the one she thought was still in her safe, and shot two contractors center mass. Non-lethal shots, but they went down hard. The others fled their employer, abandoned their payday not worth dying for. Khalid, shoulder bleeding, looked up at his executor with hate and fear. You're supposed to be her. The welder knelt beside him, and Jenny heard her own voice speaking words she'd never said. I am her, the real her, the one who doesn't forgive. Jenny, stop! Jenny shouted, sprinting the final distance. The welder turned, and Jenny found herself looking at her own face. Not exact, the scars were wrong. The eyes a slightly different shade, but close enough to be a sister. Or a clone. Or something impossible. Hello, Jenny, the double said calmly. Or should I say hello, self? Who are you? I'm what you could have been, would have been if you hadn't gotten soft. The double turned back to Khalid, who was trying to crawl away, leaving a blood trail. This one threatened Lily, our daughter. What's the appropriate response to that? Justice, not murder. Same thing, different words. The double raised the pistol to Khalid's head. Jenny moved. Not toward the double, that's what she expected, but to Khalid, shielding him with her own body. You want to kill him? You kill me first. The double laughed, a sound Jenny recognized from her darkest moments. You would die for the man who came to murder your family. I'd die to keep my daughter from having a killer for a mother. She already does. How many confirmed kills? Sarah 43, 44. Sarah Chen is dead. Sarah Chen is standing right in front of you, holding a gun, ready to finish what you started. The double's voice hardened. You called in that drone strike on yourself. You wanted to end the killing, but they pulled you out, gave you a new name, new life, and you actually thought you could play house, be normal. You're not me, Jenny said with sudden certainty. You're what someone thinks I am. Steele, this is Steele's backup plan. The double tilted her head. Smart. Always were too smart. Yes, Steele found someone who looked close enough, trained them, prepared them. If his primary operation failed, I become you. Take your life, your daughter, everything. But here's the thing, I studied you so long, I know you better than you know yourself. And I know you want this. She gestured at Khalid with the gun. You want him dead for threatening Lily. Part of me does, Jenny admitted. The part that put 44 people in the ground for God and country. But that's not who I choose to be anymore. Choice. The double spat the word. You think you get to choose? You think those 44 deaths just disappear because you picked up a welding torch? No, I live with them every day, but I don't add to them. Frank's voice came from behind the double. Drop the weapon. The double didn't turn. Mr. Cooper, Marine Force Recon 8 years, 17 confirmed kills. You understand necessity. I understand you're not Jenny. Jenny would never monologue. She'd have already acted. The double smiled. True, but I needed her close enough. She moved impossibly fast, the gun swinging not toward Khalid or Jenny, but toward where Lily would be if she were here, a psychological shot that made Jenny react instinctively, lunging forward. The double had counted on that. The gun reversed aim now at Jenny's chest at point-blank range. Predictable to the shot came from above. The double's gun hand exploded in red weapon spinning away. She screamed, clutching the destroyed hand to her chest. Gator's voice crackled through comms. Clear shot, clean shot. Tango neutralized. Jenny kicked the gun away, then looked at her double, this twisted mirror of what she could have become. You studied me, but you missed the most important part. I'm never alone anymore. Tom and the team materialized from the shadows weapons trained on the wounded double. Williams arrived with FBI backup medics rushing to treat Khalid and the wounded contractors. The double laughed through her pain. This isn't over. Steele had contingencies. Other doubles, other lives he prepared to steal. You'll never be safe. Maybe not, Jenny agreed, but I'll be real. I'll be present. I'll be the mother Lily deserves, not the ghost you are. Williams cuffed the double, reading her rights she probably didn't care about. Khalid, being loaded onto a stretcher, caught Jenny's eyes. You saved me. Why, Jenny looked at him, this man who'd come to destroy everything she loved, and saw not a monster, but a brother consumed by grief. Because someone has to break the cycle. Your brother killed innocents. I killed your brother. You came to kill me. Where does it end? My brother's sons will grow up knowing their uncle tried to avenge their father and was shown mercy instead. That's the story you'll tell them. That's the legacy you'll leave, not more death. Khalid closed his eyes. The Americans will prosecute me. Yes, but you'll be alive. Your nephews will have family. The cycle ends. He nodded slightly, then let the medics take him away. Frank wrapped his arms around Jenny from behind. You okay? No, but I will be. She looked at the double being led away. She was right about one thing. Sarah Chen is still in me, still part of who I am. Part, not all. Not all, Jenny agreed. Tom approached the old soldier, looking every one of his 68 years, but still standing tall. Hell of a thing, Hayes, hell of a thing. Thanks for the overwatch. Always, though Gator claims that shot not me. Says he owed you from Kandahar. Debts paid. Ma'am, Gator joined them, rifle slung casually. We swept the perimeter. All tangos accounted for no casualties besides the ones who earned it. Clean op. Not clean, Jenny corrected. Messy and public and everything I tried to avoid. But necessary. The necessary ones usually are messy, Priest observed, crossing himself. But sometimes God puts us where we need to be when we need to be there. Philosophical for a demolitions expert, Hammer noted. I contain multitudes, Priest replied with dignity. Williams approached, phone to his ear. Jenny, I've got Director Morrison on the line. He wants to thank you personally, maybe discuss bringing you back to active. No. Jenny cut him off. Thank the director, but no. I'm done being a ghost, a weapon, a tool. I'm a welder, a mother, a woman who exists in daylight. Williams relayed the message, listened, then smiled. He says he understands. Also says if you ever change your mind, and SEAL Team 6 would welcome you back. Tell him Sarah Chen is dead, but Jenny Hayes is happy to keep making ships for the Navy. Someone has to build what the operators ride in. Dawn was breaking over Baltimore Harbor as they stood among the industrial carnage. The shipyard would need explaining insurance claims, probably a congressional hearing. But for now, in this moment, Jenny Hayes stood surrounded by the family she'd chosen, the Frank Tom, the operators who'd answered the call, Williams who'd risked everything for justice. Her phone buzzed, a text from the safe house where Lily waited. Mom, is it breakfast time yet? Jenny typed back, on my way, sweetheart, pancakes or waffles? Both and bacon. Demanding child, wonder where she gets it, Frank teased. Her father, obviously. Jenny deadpanned, then caught his expression. What? Did you just make a joke about the future, our future? Jenny considered this. For 10 years, she'd lived day to day, never planning beyond the next week, the next job, the next threat. But standing here with the shadows of her past finally faced, if not defeated, she could see further. I might have, she admitted. That a problem, Marine? No, ma'am, no problem at all. They left the shipyard as police tape went up and investigators swarmed. Jenny Hayes Welder would have to answer questions about why terrorists and mercenaries had chosen her workplace for their showdown. She had a story ready: mistaken identity, wrong place, wrong time. Thank God for the FBI response. Some of them might even believe it. But Baltimore knew. The blue-collar city that had sheltered her for 10 years understood that sometimes ordinary people did extraordinary things. The other welders at the yard, Tom's network of veterans, the cops and firefighters and paramedics who'd responded, they'd close ranks around one of their own. At the cabin, Lily waited on the porch, still in her pajamas, despite William's wife's attempts to get her dressed. She launched herself at Jenny, all knees and elbows, and fierce 10-year-old love. You smell like gunpowder, Lily observed, wrinkling her nose. Occupational hazard. I thought you were a welder. Welders can be complicated. Lily pulled back, studying her mother's face with those two wise eyes. You're a hero, aren't you? Like a real one? Jenny knelt to her daughter's level. I'm your mom. That's the only hero I need to be. Mom, yeah, baby. The bad men who came for us, are they gone? Jenny thought about Khalid in federal custody, the double-headed for a black site interrogation, Steele's network unraveling as Williams' task force followed every thread. There would be more threats, more shadows. The price of her past would never be fully paid. But for now, in this moment, with her daughter in her arms and her chosen family around her, Jenny could offer something better than a lie. The ones who came are gone. If others come, we'll face them. Together. Promise, Semper Fi, baby girl. What's that mean? Frank answered, his hand warm on Jenny's shoulder. Always faithful. It means we always have each other's backs. Like a family. Exactly like a family. They went inside for breakfast, pancakes and waffles, and enough bacon to feed a squad of Marines. Tom told war stories edited for 10-year-old ears. Gator and his team taught Lily card tricks before departing for their next mission, wherever America needed nameless heroes. Williams updated them on the investigation: 23 freed prisoners reunited with families, a trafficking ring, destroyed justice served. Jenny Hayes sat at the table listening to her daughter laugh, watching her boyfriend and her mentor argue about baseball, feeling the weight of the Sig Sauer still on her hip, because vigilance was eternal, but also feeling something else. Pete. Not the absence of conflict, but the presence of purpose. She'd been Sarah Chen, ghost sniper, taker of lives. She'd been nobody, erased and hunted. Now she was Jenny Hayes Welder, mother protector. The ghosts of 44 confirmed kills would always shadow her, but they no longer defined her. She'd chosen who to be, and more importantly, who not to be. The double had been wrong choice was exactly what separated her from what she could have become. Her phone buzzed. Tom glanced at it, frowned. Jenny, you need to see this. It was a news alert. Decorated Navy SEAL revealed as Baltimore hero. Someone, probably someone grateful for a rescued relative, had leaked just enough truth to make her a story. Not the whole truth, not Sarah Chen or the classified operations, but Jenny Hayes, Navy veteran, who'd helped stop a human trafficking ring. This is bad, Jenny said immediately. Exposure means vulnerability. Lily will be the daughter of a hero, Frank interrupted. A public hero. Hard to make those disappear. Tom nodded approvingly. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Can't erase someone everyone knows exists. Jenny looked at the article at her service photo from a decade ago, younger, harder, not yet carrying the weight that had driven her to call a drone strike on her own position. That woman was gone, but her sacrifice had led to this, to Jenny Hayes, who existed fully in the light. Mom, you're famous, Lily exclaimed, reading over her shoulder. Temporarily, it'll blow over. Still cool. Can I tell my friends? You can tell them your mom is a welder who sometimes helps people. That's what heroes do. They help people. From the mouths of babes, Jenny thought. Maybe that's all any of them were, people trying to help, carrying the weight of necessary sins, choosing each day to be better than their worst moments. Yeah, baby, she said, pulling Lily close. That's what heroes do. Outside, Baltimore was waking up. Ships needed building. Steel needed welding. and Jenny Hayes needed to exist fully, completely, unapologetically. Sarah Chen was dead, her 44 kills, a classified legend. But Jenny Hayes lived, and that was miracle enough for one lifetime. 6 months later, Jenny stood in the same spot where she'd faced down her double, but now the shipyard hummed with normal activity. She was back in her welding gear, teaching a class of apprentices, veterans transitioning to civilian life referred by Tom's network. Remember, she told them, running a perfect bead for demonstration, welding is about joining things that were separate, making something broken whole again. Every ship we build carries sailors home. Every beam we join keeps families safe. It's not just metalwork, it's purpose. One of the apprentices, a young woman with a 1,000-yard stare of recent combat, raised her hand. "Ma'am, is it true what they say about you being a SEAL?" Jenny considered her answer. The official story was public now. Decorated veteran helped stop trafficking ring. The truth was more complex, but truth always was. "I served," she said simply. "Now I build. Both matter." After class, she found Frank waiting by her truck laptop bag slung over his shoulder. His story about the trafficking ring had won a Pulitzer nomination. More importantly, it had led to 15 more arrests, 43 reunited families, and a complete overhaul of federal witness protection protocols. "Lily's at soccer practice," he said. "They thought we could grab dinner. Someplace that doesn't require me to shower first." "Would I do that to you?" "Yes," he grinned. "Okay, but not today. Tom's already at the bar. Williams is bringing his family. Even Gator's in town." A reunion? An announcement. Frank pulled out a small velvet box, opened it to reveal a simple silver ring with a tiny sapphire Lily's birthstone. "Jenny Hayes, will you continue existing with me?" Jenny looked at the ring, at this man who'd seen her at her most dangerous and never flinched, who'd stood between her and darkness more times than she could count. "That's the worst proposal I've ever heard." "It's the only one you've ever heard." "Still terrible. You're supposed to say something about love and forever." "I love you forever better." Getting there. "Jenny Hayes, who you love more than good whiskey and accurate journalism, will you marry me so I can continue watching your six until we're old and gray and Lily has to put us in a home? Now you're assuming we'll grow old. With you, I'm assuming we'll be too stubborn to die." Jenny pulled off her welding gloves, took the ring, slid it on. It fit perfectly, of course. Frank had probably consulted Tom, who'd noticed her ring size the way he noticed everything, old habits of observation that kept operators alive. "Yes," she said simply. He kissed her, tasting of coffee, and promised there in the shipyard where Jenny Hayes existed every day, building things that mattered. That night, surrounded by the family they'd chosen and forged in fire, Jenny watched Lily demonstrate her soccer moves for Williams' kids. Listened to Tom and Gator argue about rifle specifications, felt Frank's hand warm in hers. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. For a moment, the old alertness spiked another threat, another ghost from the past. But it was just a text. "Thank you for my uncle's life, Hamza al-Rashidi, the Scorpion's eldest son." Jenny stared at the message, then typed back, "Live well, honor your father's memory, with peace, not war. My uncle told us what you did, what you didn't do. We understand now, the debt is settled." Jenny deleted the thread but kept the lesson. Every choice created ripples. Every mercy planted seeds. Sarah Chen had killed 44 people. Jenny Hayes had saved 23 plus. However many Steele would have sold, plus 3 boys in Saudi Arabia who would grow up knowing mercy was stronger than vengeance. The math would never balance. Heroes were just people who kept trying anyway. "Everything okay?" Frank asked, noticing her expression. "Yeah, just ghosts making peace." "Good. We've got enough war for one lifetime." Jenny looked around the bar at her tribe of warriors pretending to be civilians, her daughter laughing with other kids, her city's lights twinkling through windows that had seen revolution and rebirth. "More than enough," she agreed. Tomorrow she'd teach more veterans to weld building futures from steel and purpose. Lily would go to school where everyone knew her mom was a hero, even if they didn't know the details. Frank would write stories that mattered. Tom would keep watching over them all. Life would be beautifully, preciously normal. But tonight, Jenny Hayes existed completely. No shadows, no secrets that mattered, no identity that could be erased. She was a mother, a fighter, a builder, a survivor. She was proof that people could change, that warriors could choose peace, that ghosts could become real. Sarah Chen was dead. Jenny Hayes was fully and possibly defiantly alive. And that was enough. Actually, it was everything. Thank you for watching this incredible story of Jenny Hayes, the Navy SEAL who chose family over glory. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of courage and sacrifice. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that no matter how dark things get, a mother's love can overcome any obstacle. Leave a comment below. What would you have done in Jenny's position? Would you have taken the shot? And remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Until then, stay strong, stay vigilant, and God bless America.